I'm Scott Allen Miller. It's the 28th of August, 2022, and this is my vlog of daily life in Nicaragua. Welcome to my show, and it is Sunday, and just like yesterday, I'm out on the beach in Las Piñatas today. Today, though, is a much more relaxing day. We had some friends who are in town and just got to spend the day chilling on the beach, hanging out at the hotel and the restaurant and everything, which was really nice. Got to spend some time just enjoying the food and the drinks and being out on the beach. And I really don't get very often that I actually get to do that I get to go sit and just enjoy being out on the beach. So that was really nice as a change of pace. And of course, it's our hotel, so it's really nice to get to enjoy our own place. I did a little bit of filming out there, but only a tiny bit. I recorded yesterday's episode while I was there. So if you saw yesterday's, today is when I actually got a chance to film it, because if you notice the sunlight, there was no way I could have recorded that during the volleyball competition. And then not a whole lot going on today, really. It was just this relaxing day on the beach. But today's topic that I want to talk about, because that was just a fun day, and then I didn't get back until pretty late, and then hung out with the kids at night, is today's topic is because this came up as a question in a couple people have asked recently, is what should I bring with me? Right? And when moving to Nicaragua, I guess you need that context. When moving to Nicaragua, what should I be bringing with me? And when we moved to Nicaragua, went through this same internal discussion. And so I understand completely, I think, what I can empathize, what you guys are going through when you're looking, once you've made that decision. I'm coming to Nicaragua, not for travel, right? Not for a weekend, but for actually moving down for potentially a really long time, maybe permanently. How do I do that from a packing perspective? And of course, your options basically range from the lightest that you can do is just whatever fits in your suitcases, to the heaviest being taking everything you own in your home country, packing it all into shipping containers, and having giant boats bring that down to Nicaragua, offload it at the port, and have semi-trucks deliver that to wherever you're going to go. And we certainly considered everything from both extremes. And I think our experiences here support what we ended up as a decision. And everyone's going to be different, right? What you own, why you want to bring it, how certain you are to be moving for forever. Lots of things are going to be big factors here. But overall, I think that the general consensus across every person I've ever spoken to, everyone has come to the same conclusions. And those are that you want to bring almost as little as possible. You want to lean much more towards just coming with luggage than you do packing things up and bringing it with you. And there's some really important reasons why. First, there is cost. Shipping stuff down is expensive. Even if you already own it in the United States, that doesn't, or in Canada or wherever you're coming from, those places are cheapest to ship from, so they're the places that consider it. If you're coming from Europe, shipping's going to be that much more expensive and that much more difficult, so that much less likely. But if you're coming from North America, you own all these things, and you think to yourself, I've invested so much money in having these things, I don't want to give them up. That's generally a bad thought process. So in business, we call this thinking the sunk cost fallacy, right? Don't look at how much you've spent. Think about where you want to be and what it's going to take to get you there. And quite often, bringing things you already own is not a good path to getting there. It may be more expensive than buying new. So that's the first piece. It's going to be costly. And it doesn't matter how much if you have a car and you're driving down and it just fits in your trunk, well, okay, that might be different. But if once you're putting things into shipping, it's going to get real expensive really quickly and probably not going to make a lot of sense for you. It might, but generally not. The second thing is that what you own previously is not likely to be what you need here. Some things will be the same, right? You need a couch? Well, the couch you had is probably still going to be a couch here. You can sit just the same. But the style of couch may be different. All the things you bought to fit into a previous home may not fit correctly into your new home. What is your new home going to be? You don't know. Lots of unknowns. And so spending a lot to keep an old couch may not make sense when roughly the same money may get you a new couch. Do you have two old couches? Maybe you only need one new couch when you get somewhere. A lot of us, when we move to Nicaragua or anywhere, we're downsizing. We're used to lots of space in the United States. We don't need lots of space here because our lifestyle shifts from being an indoor one to being an outdoor one. So that downsizing may change your need for furniture and other large items really quickly. For other people, moving from the United States to Nicaragua means you have a lot more spending power and you're going to upsize just because you can. One or the other of those tends to happen. Very few people move from, I've got 1,800 square feet in the US, I'm going to move to 1,800 square feet of the same style in Nicaragua. That's pretty rare. You're generally going to go one way or another, and your furniture and all your belongings that are based around a certain lifestyle and decorating pattern and stuff in your home country are not going to make a lot of sense here. You're probably going to want to make a lot of changes. It's not just that you're going to a different lifestyle, it's also that you simply have a different decor. All kinds of little things. The material that you want a couch made out of is going to change. That you are used to carpeting and we're going to move to tile. These things are big changes that you don't really think about, and they change how your furniture purchases and all those things happen. So that's really a big deal that you need to understand. What you own may not apply here. So high expense, not knowing what you're going to need. Third, you can sell things. Generally, you can offload what you have back home and offset the cost. Now, I understand not everything is something you want to sell, and take this with a grain of salt. But in general, get your money from what you can and move down, and then decide what you want to buy. Purchase for what you need. Remember, you're also making a change from, and I don't mean this to sound negative in the way that it does, in the way that the Americans often apply it, but you're moving from a consumer-driven economy to a non-consumer economy. And little things will likely change. Not necessarily, but chances are your approach to what you own is going to alter in some way in doing this move. When you live in the United States or Canada or Western Europe, there's a tendency towards seeing the world through the number of things you own. And when you get to Nicaragua and a lot of places like this, that goes away, and you may suddenly find yourself wishing you simply owned less. Right? A lot of people say, don't let your possessions own you, and that's a real thing. But when you get here, it's actually just the culture changes, and it's amazing how much you stop desiring to own things just because of the culture, and you don't even really notice it. It's like happens transparently. My desire to go shopping for things pretty much fades away, other than a beer and dinner. All those little things, they add up, and then comes the risk. When you ship, however you do it, by car, by boat, whatever, there is a very real chance your possessions will not make it the entire way. You may get scammed by a shipper in your home country. You may get scammed by a receiver in your destination country. The ship along the way may steal your stuff. These days, a lot of things fall off of ships because they are pushing their logistics to the limit. Things get lost. Things get damaged. You're going to ship a whole bunch of expensive TVs because, well, I invested in all these TVs. Even if they fit perfectly on all the new walls that you're going to have, chances are some of them aren't going to survive the journey. They're going to get jostled around. They're going to be older. It's just whatever. It doesn't often make sense. Now, all that said, two big overriding things that pretty much define all of the decision processes here. The ones I mentioned are all pretty minor. One, do you know 100% where you're going to be going? This matters a lot. Are you completely confident that Nicaragua is your final destination for the rest of your life? Because if it's not, moving everything you have here probably doesn't make sense, even if for all other reasons it would, right? Now, we're really confident this is our home base forever. Still not moving all of our stuff. We're getting rid of it. I mean, we are moving everything we have. We're just getting rid of almost all of it, so there's almost nothing to move. Some things you will always keep, and that's your heirloom and memories, as I call them. All of the pictures that our kids drew when they were little, the toy that they played with when something happened or whatever, yes, find a way to move those things safely and have those memories, those memorabilia, those heirloom items that you can't bear to give up. But if we were just talking about consumer items, it's just a couch I bought and, it's comfy, whatever, let that go. Right? Really think about, these aren't things you necessarily need. Now, if there are things you want to keep, but you aren't sure you want to take the risk of shipping them, the cost of shipping them, you don't know 100% that it's going to be where you're going to keep them, storage units are not expensive. They're expensive in that they're not a cheap item, but they're not expensive compared to making mistakes in shipping. So for us, I was really lucky. For a long time, I had to move around a lot. My father had a barn, was able to build a storage unit in the barn, quite a large one. We stored everything we owned for so long. It also helped us to realize that we never touched 90% of what was in there. Now, a few of those items we never meant to touch. They were just memories. But the majority of it, we had furniture and electronic items and all kinds of things that we never went back for. They just weren't important. And so it is really hot out here today. I'm in some really direct sun. In fact, we're going to move just a little bit because I want to get the sun off of my nose. That is just a general thing. Don't get too much sun on your nose. It's a problem. And so after a decade of keeping stuff in storage, we downsized dramatically. And then, because we used to have two houses, when we pulled back to just one house, and when we got ready to move to Nicaragua, we got rid of that house, we moved that into storage. We no longer had the farm. I had to put everything into storage, into a traditional storage unit, 10 by 10 in Houston. And we keep everything that we have there. And when we go back, because we are back from time to time, we like to go through, find items that we want to bring down with us. Oh, some, memorabilia or whatever. We put it into our luggage, bring it down where we're watching over it and making sure it makes it. Larger items, we go through, we sell it, we give it away, we figure out who wants it, donate it, whatever. And once in a while, we got things we can't decide on. Okay, we keep it in the storage unit until next time. But for the relatively small expense of the storage unit, we're able to keep a lot of stuff in the United States without paying the really high cost and taking the high risk of trying to get it to Nicaragua to then decide if it's something we want to keep or not. Take some time and eliminate things from your life. Now, if you're not sure that you're going to move, think about a storage unit or some type of storage where you're able to hold on to your items more or less indefinitely, and you're fine with them being stored there. And you can just push off a decision. The moment you've decided where you're going to be for forever, move them. But until then, do that and go through the process of going down to the absolute minimum that you're okay with for that scenario. Once you know you're going to move forever, consider going down to the absolute minimum, getting rid of anything that is an absolutely an essential memory or heirloom item. Don't bother with personal possessions. You can rebuy everything you need in Nicaragua. You will rebuy everything you need in Nicaragua. And you also have to remember, when you move, you're not going to bring much stuff with you then. So even if you are sure you want all these things, you're going to put them in storage, they're going to get on a boat, they're eventually going to make it here. Hopefully they make it here. Then you're going to assess all these things and say, wow, I've been living without them for a while. I had to either do without them or replace them during that time. That's going to be a problem, right? So the complications of moving stuff, most people, when they're moving, don't bring their old lives with them. It just doesn't end up making sense. And while that may seem like a negative, wow, I'm going to give up all my stuff and buy it all over again, that seems crazy for most people. Now, if you're super rich, you have some really amazing things, you have no worry about finances, you're moving into a mansion in San Juan del Sur, and you want to bring all your stuff with you, whatever, that's just a financial decision for you, right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that may not be the best use of your money, but you may not care. But for normal people who care about their money, they're worried about how far it's going to go, they're trying to get their best bang for the buck, getting rid of that stuff, coming here, buying only what you actually need, changing your lifestyle, and assessing on the spot is generally going to be best. You want to reduce your risk and reduce your overall spending. And while it emotionally feels like the things we already own are things we have to keep, that is your possessions owning you. In business, it's the sunk cost fallacy. And in personal life, it is also a sunk cost fallacy, but it is an emotional one. And humans naturally prioritize things we already own over things we may someday own. And while that does have an emotional value, it has a negative to our decision-making capabilities financially. And when you're looking at these kinds of things, anywhere in life, but something like this especially because it's such a big move, anytime you're dealing with real estate, relocation, cars, things like that, it's important, unless, again, you're a millionaire, you can just buy a Ferrari, you don't care. You need to step away from the emotions as much as possible and look at it completely mathematically and with risk, right? It is a business decision. You can say, but it's my personal life. That's just your emotions trying to convince you not to use logic. Slow down, step back, put it on paper, right? What is the cost of moving it? What would the cost be to rebuy it? You don't necessarily know. You need to make some estimates, but try to do some of those things and say, wow, if we sold our furniture, we might get $500. When we get there, do we need $500 of furniture? Probably. That's not very much furniture. Well, how much is going to cost to ship it? Oh, well, it costs at least $5,000 to ship it. Well, now we've got $5,500 to buy furniture with. Can we buy all of our replacement furniture with that? Oh, no, we actually could. And then it would be purpose-purchased new furniture instead of shipped risky old furniture. Wow, that seems like a really good plan. Those kinds of things, putting some of those things in numbers helps to give you the power to say, oh, this is not cost effective, no matter how emotionally it seems like it must be. And that's really important. And so, yeah, all those things are valid. I know you want to bring your things with you. I want to have all my historic things with me. I wish every piece of furniture I ever owned, all the stuff we got from our wedding is currently still in storage. It's very hard for us to let go of it, and maybe we'll decide to ship it. But when we do, we're going to know we're shipping it because it's a memory for us and something that we want to keep here in our permanent home, not something we're just shipping around to a place we're currently living for a little while, not something that we decided we could live without because it had been in storage and we never wanted it. No, some of those things I do want. Some of those things I do miss. And those things are important to say, no, that's worth shipping for me when I have a good, reliable way to ship it and a good, reliable place to put it when it gets here. I hope that was helpful. Please ask your questions, and there were questions that led to this, but I think the takeaway is you're going to want to bring less, and if you are thinking you're going to bring more, bring it later. Push it off. Get that storage unit, whether it's 1 month, 3 months, 12 months, 10 years. The longer you keep from shipping that stuff, the more time you have to reduce how much there is, to ensure it's stuff that you care about, and to make sure you've made decisions that make sense long term. You know where you're going to live, what furniture you're going to need, which items make sense to keep or not, and you have time to clean it all out. Thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. Buy me a coffee. I will see all of you tomorrow.